What's going on, everybody? Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Black Student Success Podcast, where we bring you insight and guidance from successful Black professionals. My name is Inquire, and I appreciate you joining us today. As of course, this is brought to you by Inquire Hire, and we'll have a lot of our information towards the end. But for our guest today, she is the owner of the Buttaz Wax skin products. So we're going to talk about her journey as a businesswoman, as well as all the things that she's learned over the course of running this business. And then especially for this being an extension of herself, we're going to talk about how this company is really important to her. And then, just everything that she's, picked up along the way. So let's welcome Keisha Marsh to the show. How are you doing today, Keisha?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for your time. So we start the show in the same way. We're going to ask you, who is Keisha Marsh?
Because you sent me over the questions. And when I got that question, I was literally like, how do I answer this question? Who am I? Because I feel like I'm so many things, but thought about it. And I boiled it down to, I'm just a little country girl at heart who has always had this feeling that God had more in store for her life. And I've always felt that feeling. I've always operated kind of on that feeling. I'm a mom of an amazing 10-year-old. I'm a friend. I'm a creator. I am someone who goes after her goals, even though she is always fearful and always overthinks everything. But, I go after these goals.
There you go. I appreciate the forwardness and even that vulnerability of kind of who you are as a person, as it kind of makes up all the things that you've done. So let's get into the inspiration of Buttaz Wax. So what initially led you to start this company, and then specifically a line of skincare products?
Okay, so I didn't intend to start a business. What happened was I was gifted a body butter product from someone, and I ended up using it on my daughter, and she ended up having an allergic reaction to it. And because I'd already had knowledge of making my own hair care product, because I went through the whole natural hair journey, I, discovered the natural hair community on YouTube. And from there, learning about different products. And I was already making my own hair care product. I was like, okay, I can whip her up some body butter. And so I researched the products that was on the original product that I was gifted, figured out what it was that she had an allergic reaction to, and then made her something that she could use. And then I had extra, so I gave it away to friends. They really liked it, kept asking for more, so I kept making more. And then one day, my awesome, amazing child was just like, Mommy, if everybody's asking for your body butter, why don't you just sell it? And I was like, child of mine that I raised, you are absolutely right. So that's how I started selling the product. And then from there, it just took the logical steps of, okay, let me become legit and actually make this a business. And from the body butters, just because I love to create, I love working with my hands. Like, I kept researching different things that I could create. And that led me to making soaps and bath salts. And it just went on from there.
There you go. And it sounds like, and I feel like this happens before where we have to look at different products that work for us, for our skin, for our hair, because we're all not made the same, and all products are not made for us. So was it easy, since you had already done your research with hair products, to kind of move into that skin product realm?
Definitely. Because even my body butter now, like, I have one that's called OG. So it's just all the oils that I use, incorporate with the shea butter and the cocoa butter. I actually use that in my hair. So I use it on my skin. I use it in my hair. And you can use any of my body butters if you want in your hair, because they're all natural products.
Nice.
So yeah, it was quite easy to go into making body butters.
Perfect. So yeah, I know that you mentioned that once you kind of got it started going, you wanted to make sure that you were legit. So what was kind of the mindset when you were kind of going through the business aspect of creating this, and then, leading up to that first sale? Like, what was going through your head when it came to that whole stretch of time?
So I was actually getting sales before I made it a business, or before I, went and filed my LLC and did all that. I had people Like I would give it away and they'll be like, no, it's too much. So here, I'll pay you for it. So I was already getting paid before I thought of making it a business. But like I said, it just took I just took the natural, logical steps of what was happening. I feel like the business kind of made itself, and I was just available, and I followed along the steps and learning all the things that I learned just about cocoa butter and shea butter and all the benefits of olive oil. I couldn't go back to using regular lotion.
Yeah.
You know, and especially, I'm not sure if you ever use body butter, but once your skin gets adapted to using oils, lotions just don't feel the same on your skin anymore. Yeah, so I haven't used like regular store-bought lotion in a good 2.5 years.
Yeah. So I want you to actually talk about some of those different products that you have, and some of those kind of things that you learn when it comes to using other products after you've kind of gotten into this world of skincare products. So what are some of the things that you sell, and what kind of things have you learned when it came to those ingredients really working with your skin?
So I have a line of body butters. I have a line of soaps and bath bombs. I'm trying to think, I make so much stuff.
Yeah.
Bath teas. I just released a line of wax melts that's coming out for the winter season. And doing this business, it more so brought me back to my childhood, which is why it really kept going with it. Because a lot of the things that I do use in my company are things that I grew up with, I grew up using. But when I was younger, I didn't know how great these products were because they were just regular things for me. Like I grew up watching my great grandmother. Like when I was younger, I used to live with my great grandmother in like the countryside of Jamaica, and she used to crush up castor oil seeds and use it in her hair. My grandmother had like strong, like healthy hair, even though she was older. And so I now use that in my products. I use Jamaican black castor oil in my products, coconut oil in my products, because again, I grew up using coconut oil, and the benefits of the moisturizing benefits it has for our skin is amazing. Like we drank the coconut water, we use the husk to polish our floors, we eat the flesh inside. So a lot of the ingredients are things that in my childhood or on the island of Jamaica that I grew up are things that I used.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and it was crazy to me because I never realized how many of these resources like I was using and I had back home until I discovered the natural hair community and discovered about aloe vera and discovered about shea butter and cocoa butter. And then I was like, wait, I used all these things when I was younger. Like, why did I ever stray away from using all these natural products? Well, I mean, I do know why, because of commercialism, and we get bombarded with all these things and these images of, what I'll say Europeans use. But that's not necessarily like for our skin and our melanin and, what works for us. Like our skin, oils more works for our skin. They penetrate our skin better. They leave us feeling smoother, feeling better about ourselves. So yeah.
There you go. And one of the things I love that you pointed out is that it really brought you back to your childhood and some of those essential moments that you didn't take to heart. Obviously you kind of being in there, not experiencing enough, and now you've implemented that into your business, into your brand, if you will. So one of the things I do notice, when kind of looking at the company's Instagram, your website, you have this kind of like light, delicate, very free forming image when it comes to, how you arrange things and the colors that you're using. So I want you to talk about the kind of the importance of branding for Buttaz Wax, and, what types of things are you trying to convey when it comes to your skin products and how you want people to see you and the company.
Okay. So as far as branding, for any company, branding is super important. Like I say, branding is your your bat signal. Even though I'm not a Batman, he's not a real superhero, but we won't get into that.
Another conversation for another story.
But branding is basically your bat signal. You know, it shows the world, it tells the world who you are, and tells the world what to expect of you. And for me personally, I put a lot of me into Buttaz Wax because it's, you know, it's my third baby, I like to call it. My daughter's my first. My book is my second. Buttaz Wax is my third. Mm-hmm. But I like what the young kids are calling, it's called cottage core. So it's a very like, you know, farm feeling, like a barnyard feel. Yeah. So again, like Buttaz Wax it's kind of an ode to my 2 to about 7 years old self of when I was living on the countryside on my great grandmother's land. I was the only child there, so I was surrounded by a lot of plants, a lot of flowers, a lot of fruit trees. So even though my colors are subtle, you'll see like pop of colors here and there. Yeah. And that's just an ode to all the fruit trees that I grew up seeing. So I tried to have that very light country at home. You know, like when I think about that place, it's homey, it's comforting, and that's the message I want to convey with Buttaz Wax. Home.
Nice. And I like the fact that you have this creative side that you can actually access and put into that branding. Now, was that something that you intended to do? You wanted to, you know, give yourself an opportunity to, you know, express that creative side, or because of the, you know, the points of identity, that 2 to 7 years old of your life, did that just kind of come naturally from that, or was it something that you were like, okay, I'm going to, you know, really creatively express myself through my company?
I think it just comes naturally. I feel like all of my projects that I do, I put myself greatly into it just because I believe in it and it's mine and I love what I do. And when you love what you do, you cannot but put pieces of yourself into it. Yeah. And I think it's just a natural progression of who I am. So that shows through what I have, how I have Buttaz Wax set up.
There you go. And like you said, it makes it easier to be able to kind of run a company, which, you know, has its business side, but it's kind of, you know, dressed up with things that you identify with, which is really awesome. Now, when it came to, you know, starting up the company and, you know, kind of getting things in order, you know, for our listeners who might be thinking of doing their own skincare products or just any type of business, what types of things did you have to put in place financially to kind of get started and make sure that, you know, it wasn't something that just kind of ran for a couple months and then stopped?
So honestly, I'm just honest. When I started, I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. I'm not going to say, you know, there are some people that they come up with a 5-year plan and they have all their ducks in a row and they have all this financial backing, and I had none of that. Yeah. I basically had a product that people loved and I believed in, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm a very I'll jump off of the cliff and figure out my landing when I get there. Yeah. And that is what I did with Buttaz Wax. And I made a lot of mistakes along the way. And I've also learned a great deal along the way. I watched a lot of YouTube. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I was very conscious of is, you know, a lot of the videos said that majority new companies fail within the 5 years, or they don't make a profit within the 5 years. Mm-hmm. So honestly, my mindset going into this was like, for 5 years, I am going to be like this little unknown company. I'm going to only sell to a couple of people. And after 5 years, we'll see if, you know, this company is really viable or not. So the fact that my products have been to the country that I want to go to, Paris. Like my products have gone to Paris. That's my dream country to go. And I haven't been there is mind blowing to me. The fact
crazy.
that my products have been all over this country and strangers are buying it, and I've only made 2 years this year is like amazing. So for me, I'm already winning.
Yeah. So and then now that projects you to land way farther than you expected in that 5-year point.
Yeah.
And I think that's inspiring for those who want to start but may not have the know-how, or they're just like, I've got this product, I want to make sure that I kind of get it out to the people. And then, like you said, you were kind of putting bits of you into it, and you were learning from your mistakes along the way. And that hasn't stopped you, or that know-how, or that, financial backing that, you may expect to need to kind of get things started, that didn't stop you.
Exactly.
What would you say to those who might still be concerned about at least getting started because they might not have the know-how of starting a business? What would you say to them?
Then we live in a world where information is so accessible. There is YouTube, there is Google. Anything you want to know in this world, in this day and age, if you want to find that information out, even if nobody in your circle knows it, if you have a smartphone in your hand, you can find it out. Like I've watched so many, majority of the things that I learned was from YouTube, Google, and reading books. Not because no one in my family or none of my friends are doing what I'm doing. I'm like by myself doing this. So I had to learn on my own. And if I can learn on my own, you can learn on your own. So I just read a lot of books. I Googled everything, and I watched a lot of YouTube. And another thing too is the wonderful quote I heard, and it's saying, getting it done is better than it being perfect. Because you can wait for something to be perfect all you want and never get it done. It can be perfect and just be sitting in your binder, or sitting on your computer, or sitting in your head, you going through all your steps, but then it's not done. If it's done and you make mistakes, then you can correct those mistakes. But at least you have your product, or you have your business out there, and people know who you are, and you'll learn as you go. So that's my philosophy. It's just if you're passionate, well, first be passionate about something and know that and love it. Because if you don't love it, then as soon as you hit a hole in the road, you're going to want to quit. And there's no point in you putting in your time and your effort into something that you're just going to quit as soon as the first obstacle reaches you. So make sure you love it. Make sure that you're doing it for you, because a lot of the times it's going to count on you to take your company to whatever levels that it needs to go to. So love it first. Read, watch videos, Google all you can, and just know that nothing is never perfect. Like nothing is perfect. So stop trying to strive for perfection and just strive to get it done and put it out there to the world.
Yeah, and then people are going to look at it. People might look at it and seeing it as this perfect product, even if you might not see it like that.
Yes, because there have been times where I have made like a soap, and I see all the imperfections in it, and I'll give it away to friends, and they're like, why isn't this on your website? Why aren't you selling it? And I'm like, because look at it. It doesn't look good. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you not see these imperfections? So sometimes because we are in it, we see it, but the outside world doesn't see it through our eyes, So,
there you go. Do you like to get a lot of consultation from your friends in case you are second and third guessing it? Do you kind of reach out to them and say, hey, what do you think about this? Do you do that a lot?
Yes and no. There are certain things where I will reach out to certain people like, hey, do you like this fragrance, or which one should I go with? But because this company is very much so me, and I'm very opinionated and I'm strong in my opinions, I'm very okay, if I like it, then I'm going to put it out. If I don't like it, I'm not going to put it out. If it's not something that I would use myself, then I'm not putting it up on my website.
Okay, there you go. And one other thing that I want to touch on, and you can kind of talk about how you kind of got into the realm of storybook writing, and it's like a fairly new venture for you.
Mm-hmm.
But especially if it does tie back to Butters and Wax, can you tell us a story about how you got into children's storybook writing?
And again, I feel like right now I'm just trying to do all the things that little Keisha wanted to do
Go
and
ahead, little
couldn't do.
Keisha.
But story writing has always been a part of my life. Again, a lot of the times I was by myself being an only child. So I always had an active imagination. I was always reading books. And so I've always written poems. I was in drama. So writing and storytelling has always been a part of me. And I've always wanted to be an author. Always, all my life, I've always wanted to write a book. And one day I just decided that I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I did it. The topic of my book is about self-love and loving your hair. We as Black women, as Black girls, we go through a lot when it comes to our hair. And the story for this book is loosely based on my daughter, because one day someone made a comment, like she had her fro out. And one day someone made a comment that I should comb her hair. And I was like, it is combed. It's just in a fro. And the person then said, well, not everybody looks good with their natural hair. And I was like, well, person, frankly, I disagree with you.
Yeah.
And I sat down on my computer and I wrote this book, and I've been working on this book for 5 years. So It's been a process. So I'm in the process of publishing it, and fingers crossed everything goes well and I have no more obstacles. It'll be out this year.
Absolutely. Nice.
I should say too that Buttaz and Wax is featured in the book.
There you go. Hey.
So yeah, there are little Buttaz and Wax in my book.
Hey, no shame in plugging. So that's what's up. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I don't think we can never have too many positive images, especially in that form, for someone who's, just like little Keisha, who is dreaming about, becoming an author, to be able to see this and say, hey, I can do this, or, I can love myself and have that head up, or that leg up when it comes to how they view themselves, because then that'll help them propel to do all those other things that they've dreamed to do. So this has been great. I'm looking forward to to seeing that come into fruition. Any last words before we close out to anybody who is looking to kind of get into this entrepreneurship, whether they know so or not? What would you say to them?
I think for a lot of people, why they don't do things is because of fear. And you're always going to be fearful throughout your entire life, but don't let fear stop you. And even if you do fail at something, then you just failed at it. So what? You failed at it, you learned your lesson, you get back up and you go do something else, or you try again.
Yeah.
I feel like we give fear so much power that we don't need to. Like before I came on, I told you how nervous I was of being on here.
Yeah.
And I could have been like, okay, I'm too nervous. I'm going to trip up. I'm going to forget whatever I'm saying. I'm not going to do this. And then I would have missed out an awesome opportunity of being on this podcast. So do not let fear stop you. Do not let anybody else stop you. If you believe in yourself, if you believe in whatever you want to do, that's all you need to do. That's all you need. Just believe in yourself and go for whatever it is that you want to go for.
Perfect. Very well put. So before I let you go, I want to get your opinion on this, because I don't think for the time that we've known each other, I don't think I've actually gotten your opinion on what you think the I guess American version of Jamaican food is. You've spent most of your childhood in Jamaica. You come here, you got some Jamaican restaurants here and there. You probably have a very strict opinion on how those actually are. So I'm actually curious to see, are there any restaurants that you know of that actually make pretty authentic Jamaican food, or are all of them trash? Like, just let me know.
So for food, I go to Auntie Joy's, and that's on the Vaughan in Chicago. And then for like sweets and bread and other things like that, I go to uh, the Caribbean American Bakery. So
Mm,
those are my two go-to places for Jamaican food. I don't go out too much for Jamaican food just because I can cook it or I can go to my family house.
yeah.
But I will say in where I am in Evanston, there are pretty good Jamaican places because all the restaurants are really owned by Jamaicans. So
Yeah, very true,
yeah,
very
I
true.
haven't gone to any Jamaican restaurant that wasn't owned by a Jamaican. So I don't have any that I didn't like. But Auntie Joy's on the Vaughan and the Caribbean American Bakery are my two go-to places.
Okay, perfect, perfect. I thought you were about to say all of them were garbage. So,
No,
so
no, no, no.
yeah.
I think I went to one, like I've gone to places where they've had like jerk chicken on their menu. And I was just like,
No, honey.
no, 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 no. Try this again. Y'all bring this back and try it again.
There you go. All right. Well, Keisha, I appreciate your time, your perspective, and just your experience with Buttaz Wax. I want to see it thrive, and you're going to end up in Paris probably at that 5-year mark. So keep doing your thing. Thanks to everybody who's been listening. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe to the podcast. We definitely love your feedback. If you want to reach out to us, we are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Inquire Hire. We're also at inquirehire.com. Keisha, I did want to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can find you, find your products and everything.
Okay, so my website is buttazandwax.com. So that's buttazandwax.com. I'm on all social media platforms at Buttaz and Wax. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. So yeah,
there you
Buttaz
go.
and Wax.
All right. We'll get everything in the description for you. So thanks again for your time, and to everybody, peace to you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.